when upon entering I died about 37 different times. Part of the issue is that the mini nuke mod isn't working perfectly on the robots, and some of them are shooting me with laser beams. While my supple body is perfectly optimized for dying in nuclear explosions, it does very...
Sorry, I muted by... I think I had a point to make, and I think that point is gone. Let's go. Let's watch Fallout 4, but every gunfire is nukes. As always, haven't ever played this game, don't know anything about it, let's go.
Weapons, meaning that every firearm from a homemade pistol to a minigun is capable of unleashing Armageddon upon your enemies. In this world, there are only 3 rules.
Wait,
One,
is this a mod or is this canon, chat? Is this a mod or... O zi normal în slobozia.
Shoot first or you don't shoot at all. 2, you should always have a backup plan in case you run out of ammo. And the most important of all is that water gun fights are now strictly off limits. In a post-apocalyptic setting such as this, there's only one thing left to do. Slavery. If you've ever watched a...
Excuse me? Excuse me? No, this is real life. He modded all weapons to fire mini nukes, but there's an actual weapon that fire nukes. What does that have to do with the slavery?
Encrusted Indonesian man mining sulfur for 7 cents a day and thought to yourself, damn, he's ripping us all off. Then I have news for you, because we are the same person. All of that is to say, I'm a big fan of capitalism, and when it comes to maximizing shareholder value, nowhere does it better than Nuka-World. Some people will call this a defunct amusement park taken over by erotic cosplayers, but really...
Yo, chill. That's crazy though. That's crazy. Straight up per minute. Straight up per minute.
It's just a different kind of amusement now, because we have hundreds of people forced into slave labor using explosive collars. From the moment I saw this 8 years ago, I knew it was my destiny to be the CEO of this wonderful business.
Wow.
So that's our goal. Utilize weapons of mass destruction to take over Nuka-World and usher in an era of mega slavery. Can we succeed, or will we be stopped by literally...
We're in for a ride, I can tell that much, chat. We're in for a goddamn ride.
Anyone with a gun. There's only one way to tell. But first, I have to watch my wife get shot. That part plays out a little differently in this timeline. So my wife and son were vaporized in a thermonuclear blast. Unfortunate, but from their ashes, a hero was born. We escape the vault and enter into a world whose color scheme could best be described as 50 shades of vomit. From here, we could go straight to Nuka-World, but we're level 1, and we have about as many items as a paranoid schizophrenic who thinks the government is spying on him through his microwave. So instead,
Rue, you can't have any electronics, chat. You gotta throw your phone away. All you can have is like a PC to watch my streams, but you're not allowed to download any other software or open any other stream or open YouTube. I mean, you're also allowed to watch my YouTube videos, but that's all. That's all you get, man. Come on, honey, it's your daily slop PP Slayer mandated time.
Spend a few hours gathering supplies and trying to reach level 15, at which point we should be ready. I saunter my way into what I assume is modern day Los
Why the bodysuit, bro? Why the bodysuit?
Angeles, at which point a Cockney robot attempts to socialize with me, but that's exactly what they expect me to do. So instead, I jump on...
Ayo. Ayo.
Top of my neighbor's roof and dive headfirst into a pool of radioactive sewage. That ought to throw them off.
Wow!
Our first goal is to find a gun.
It's so that you can, you know, so you can throw them off your scent, chat. You know, because they're following your scent, and then you go in the reactive pool, and your scent is gone, chat.
The power spike from punching things to nuking things is pretty substantial. After wandering around, I find a dead body with a revolver on it, and upon testing it out on some nearby wildlife, I was both excited and terrified at the world.
How do you even fit that in the revolver? How does that even... Why am I questioning greatness?
Created. I made my way into a nearby town where usually a small group of bandits is fighting with some Minutemen. But now a small group of bandits is committing a nuclear holocaust with some Minutemen. And if you think this is bad, you should have seen it before we reduced the explosion effects. Anyway, I tried silently assassinating the raiders. This was met with very limited success. Eventually, I got tired of
you have nukes, but everyone else also have nukes.
Playing as a high-altitude weather balloon. So I nuked the bandits and entered the museum to help the Minutemen. Or rather, I tried to enter the museum. Because as dangerous as nuclear warfare is outside, it's 10 times worse inside. And I got spawn killed for about 20 minutes before I finally made it past the front door. But by that point, I had been ground zero for roughly 35 nuclear detonations. My ears were ringing, my retinas were fried, and there was a very distinct possibility of me vomiting all over my keyboard. But my noble goal gave me the strength to continue.
Gotta remember what you're fighting for, man.
From here, I went room by room, clearing out the raiders in close quarters combat. This is a fantastic way to learn the exact blast radius of a nuclear bomb. Because if you're off by even an inch, your limbs will eject from your body like rocket-propelled grenades. Eventually, I made it to Preston Garvey, who wasted no time complaining about how hard his life is. Just wait until he hears about my plans for Nuka-World. Preston had me climb up to the roof and equip this suit of power armor. I was feeling very confident until a drug-fueled maniac popped out from around a corner and gave me both barrels of his shotgun, a phrase which has recently intensified in meaning since each pellet is now its own nuke.
Wait, so wouldn't the shotgun be the best weapon to use with this mod? Honestly, that sounds OP. You just get a shotgun and that's it. You're just spread-shotting nukes.
Honestly, I had a lot of difficulty at this section because the minigun takes half a second to spin up.
Minigun!
And if a raider happens to squeeze out even a single shot in that time...
Yo, Jesus Christ! Yo!
It's all over. But if I've learned anything from watching a homeless man avoid arrest by drinking his vodka out of an antifreeze bottle, it's that necessity breeds innovation. Come to think of it, that might have actually just been antifreeze. Regardless, I pioneered a new combat strategy, that is, the mortar technique. Instead of shooting at my enemies, I just kind of carpet bombed the entire town with poorly aimed artillery.
Wow!
And it worked really well. From here, I
jumped
off
his PC alive from after generating all those explosions?
Off the roof and did my best to crush Preston like an ant.
What are you, crazy?
When that failed, I settled for finishing off the raiders and laughing at the Deathclaw's attempt to intimidate me. Following this, I went inside, Preston thanked me, and Mama Murphy gave me the perfect setup for a joke.
We're all gonna die eventually.
Yep. After reloading, we all went to Sanctuary and started drinking from the same toilet bowl, because we are now friends. In fact, Sturgis asked me if I could build everyone some beds so they didn't have to sleep underneath bridges and inside of burnt-out cars. I looked him straight in the eye and said I would do that. Of course, I was lying. In fact, I immediately left...
You can't lie, it's illegal.
Left Sanctuary and never contacted any of these strange people again in my entire life.
That's mean.
At this point, we're level 3 and I've got a decent selection of guns, but I'd still like to gain access to some better perks before taking on Nuka-World. So I began doing odd jobs around the wasteland. First mission, a filthy woman wants me to go to this place and kill all of these people. No problem. I travel to the Corvega factory and
the fucking aiming thingy doesn't even matter. Left arm, left leg, how about all of it?
Using my mortar technique to soften up their defenses. It takes only 9 seconds for me to accidentally nuke myself. That's a personal best. Eventually, I make my way inside and begin atomizing the inhabitants while the building vibrates violently with each shot. Luckily, the other raiders convinced themselves it was just the wind. Now, you might think the best weapon for room clearing would be a shotgun, but you'd be wrong, and I found this out the hard way, because the spread on a shotgun means it's almost impossible to aim it straight, and despite your best efforts, you will
that's probably gonna bounce all over you.
Hit either the floor or the ceiling, and the resulting blast will almost certainly turn you into a human jigsaw puzzle. This happened to me more times than I'd like to admit. Before I begrudgingly
the problems. The issues of being too powerful.
Filed the double-barrel shotgun next to Reggie Fan Meetup in the category of things that sound fun but will probably get me killed. I also tried hacking into this cute little security robot so he could help me clear out the bandits. He lasted all of 3 seconds before they murdered him in cold blood.
No! Because everyone has nukes, everybody.
The raiders could have made, because his existence was the only thing stopping me from doing this.
A man, there's nothing scarier than a man that has nothing left to lose.
Yes, indeed, the bandits were dead. Completing this quest got us to level 6 and allowed me to unlock the Mysterious Stranger perk, which is now substantially more satisfying because yes, he does shoot nuclear bombs. This was good, but we still have a long way to go, so I continued on my quest to convert every living being into experience points. It went a little like this. I start the day with some train yard...
Wait, sorry, I'm a bit slow. Is that fauna? It's weird because it kind of looks like fauna, but like the outfit is wrong. Yeah, let's go VTuber Mansion. Pog.
I have a long way to go, so I continued on my quest to convert.
Dude, why do all the gaming YouTubers love VTubers, huh? Oh, child, you know there's Maxor, now there's Reggie. Yo!
Living being into experience points. It went a little like this. I start the day with some train yard hobos. First you shoot them, then you beat them. 8 experience each. Also, tried my hand at cattle wrangling. I think I'm a natural.
You're wrangled, alright.
Break into a shipyard.
Do you think it's like Minecraft? Do you think the meat is cooked to perfection?
Now it's not. Apparently, the owner was trying to domesticate them by playing soothing messages on the PA. It didn't work. That was a lot of effort. Let's go ahead and take a rest for the night in this old building. Never mind, the universe hates us and we've just been ambushed in our sleep by attack dogs. Plunge the world.
How did he survive that?
In retaliation. After that, I went to Bunker Hill where I spent 20 minutes marveling at the ugliest human being I have ever seen.
What do you mean? She's slaying, man. What do you mean, man? That's me in 10 years, bro. Hop off.
Which is strong words coming from someone who looks in the mirror every morning. Once I was done, I went to the Drumlin Diner to try to negotiate peace between some raiders and the store owner. When I told the lady I wouldn't be taking her side, she presented me with a very compelling argument. Oh my god! But 2 can play at that game. Say what you want, but this is the fastest method of de-escalation. Following this, we got a quest to kill everyone inside this preschool. Don't worry, the kids are already dead. We're just killing the raiders. I nuked every room with extreme prejudice, but still died anyway because the whole place is booby-trapped and tripwire guns now fire atomic bombs.
I mean, they would, man. They would. Everything seems to do that. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised that they do.
But it's okay, because we can always retreat to the public bathroom to brew more health potions. Eventually, I find their leader and introduce him to the concept of a glory hole before stuffing his charred corpse into a garbage bin. Finally, I finish by releasing all of his captives, except for you. Someone has to stay behind to tell the people about my good deeds. After all that, we're now level...
That's so fucked, man. Like, I know that his final goal is slavery and all, but that's still fucked.
10, and I've even figured out how to craft bear traps, which I have successfully stress tested on a small child. Works like a charm. Let's finish up a few more quests.
Wait, the bear traps are nukes! No, wait, I didn't expect that one. I didn't expect that the bear traps would be nuclear.
Then go straight to Nuka-World. I was in Bunker Hill admiring the absolute girth of this man's biceps when I was approached by Edward Deegan. He took me to Cabot House to accept a quest from John Cabot, who wants us to steal some
Frosty Food, they were the sub! Pug, welcome. Watching Fell for Heavy Gunfire Nukes.
Serum from a psychotic gentleman living in a shack on top of a hill, which is fine. However, John bears a striking resemblance to the Zodiac Killer, and so I wasn't sure if I could trust him. That's why I covertly stole and hid exactly 1 of his pool balls. If he betrays me, he'll never get this back, and the loss of a singular ball in an otherwise perfect set will almost certainly drive him to a suicidal rage. This is what we call establishing collateral. Anyway, I went to the insane
when I don't find my
keys. To
keys.
get the serum, but an acorn fell on the ground and it spooked me, so I spent the next 55 seconds nuking the man's house until I stopped getting hit markers.
Wow. 4th of July just passed, man.
I grabbed the vial, went back to Cabot, lied to him and said the serum was gone, before taking it out of my inventory, waving it in front of his face, and injecting it into my neck just for fun. For good measure, I also smashed a bunch of his research equipment and stole this fancy camera. Only 1 more quest to go, then we're off to Nuka-World. It's time to go help Paladin dance.
I'm over here stroking my dick. I got lotion on
I rushed to his distress signal as fast as I could, but upon arriving, it seemed like he had things under control.
This guy is more unhinged than I remembered, man.
Hi.
I talked to Dance, and he asked me to accompany him on a mission to salvage technology from some nearby ruins. This quest was awful, but I do have a few tips. First of all, you're going to come across a gang of bandits robbing some traders. This is an interesting interaction.
You can just rain nukes on them though, like, you know.
That I recommend observing from a distance. Second, if you hear any variation of the phrase, "We've got company," you need to run for cover, because there is a 90% chance Paladin Dance is about to pivot like LeBron James and nuke the shit out of you for being within
No,
20
the friendly fire.
feet of a bloatfly.
We've got company.
If and when you do finally make it to the destination, the synths inside are very dangerous, so I recommend a tactical approach, such as
yes.
watching through a sheet of plexiglass as Paladin Dance does all the hard work. Also, when you get to the basement, don't forget to accidentally melt off Dance's face with this rocket exhaust. Trust me, he actually likes it. After that, you
Well, if he likes it, man. If he likes it, then, who am I to deprive him of the pleasure of the flesh?
just go upstairs, grab the tech, and it's all over. It's not a great quest, but it does give us the junk jet, which is some kind of pneumatic catapult for weaponizing random garbage. While it doesn't fire atomic bombs, it does allow me to kill my opponents by cracking them in the forehead with dirty cigarette trays, which is something that resonates.
Why are they not exploding though? Like, those are not nukes. Excuse me. Excuse me. Those things are not exploding on impact. What is this? 0 out of 10. L video.
It's with me deeply. Finally, we're now level 16 with maxed out luck, a few helpful perks, and a new rifle that has a 50-round drum mag along with a bayonet for close quarters combat. But before we go any further, I need to warn you about something, because the fine people at Makeship have infiltrated my apartment, stolen my genetic material, and created hundreds of clones
Makeship
of me
plushie
that
on the
are
way too.
conveniently the correct size and shape to fit inside of a mason jar. But you wouldn't do that to me, right? Anyway, for a limited time, we're going to be selling these Reggie plushies, and I highly recommend picking one up. But Reggie, what can I use this for? Well, I like to use mine as my own personal hostage. You see, he's relatively small, which makes him very...
Please don't do that to mine. Yo, chill. Yo. Welcome! Like, he goes, yes.
easy to overpower. Sometimes I also like to wave a big knife in front of his face. It fills me with a sense of control that I've long since lost in my life.
Oh,
also,
no.
he has no legs with which to run,
Oh, no.
no mouth with which to scream, only eyes with which he may observe
Oh,
me
no.
perform my elaborate war dances as I prepare to take his life. But if that's not exactly your style, he also makes a pretty good stress ball. So you've got 30 days to take me hostage. Do you think you have what it takes?
Well,
If
that's
so,
true.
click the pinned
Mine will
link in the
also do
comments
that.
and put yourself down for as much of me as you think you can handle. Then prepare yourself. Now back to the video. I arrived at the Nuka-World Transit Center with determination because from here we can take a tram to the amusement park. The only thing stopping us is a small army of bandits, robots, and rooftop snipers. I must have died about 15 times at this part before I settled on just firing 30 nukes into the sky.
Yeah,
and
it feels
parking
like
in a
it's
parking
always the
garage
better
while all
option,
of my
man.
enemies were turned to ash. I made my way down to the tram where this guy
It is
was
called
telling me
Nuka-World.
raiders had taken his family hostage at Nuka-World. Apparently he
No,
is...
mine has legs. Mine has legs. Okay, and it has arms. Okay, but I think actually when it comes out, like when it's done, I think people that missed on the petition will also be able to buy it. You know, so if you missed the petition, you probably will. You probably will because during the petition time, the plushie wasn't done. You know what I mean? So
escaped but was shot in the
He
process.
wasn't made.
But the fact he didn't have a single drop of blood anywhere on his body led me to believe this man was a liar. So I politely excused myself, loaded up my junk jet with steel ingots, and then came back and pulverized his
This is
heart
Minecraft?
with a high-velocity metal slug. Now his story about being wounded is a lot more believable. After
true.
this, I jumped on the tram and it took me to the promised land. I arrived and it was beautiful. A voice came over the speaker and told me two things. One, I'm trapped, and two, the only way to escape is to survive the gauntlet. I surveyed my surroundings and found the dead bodies of several half-eaten male prostitutes. So I'm going to go ahead and say my chances aren't great, but let's give it a shot. Room 1. A large lobby full of rusted junk. If the tetanus doesn't kill you, the machine gun turrets firing nukes definitely will.
no.
Also, the ceilings are very
no.
low, which makes it easy for you to blow yourself up. So
Oh,
I recommend
God.
using VATS, even if your
This
chances...
feels like a nightmare to do with the nukes. Oh no, it's Reggie. Oh yes, it's Reggie.
hit is low, it doesn't really matter, because atomic bombs are more of a to whom it may concern type weapon anyway. After that, it's on to room 2. This room was supposed to be armed with several booby traps. However, the nuclear detonation we unleashed on the last room seems to have spilled over and disabled most of them. The key word being most.
Easy.
After reassembling my body parts, I moved to room 3, which presented us with 3 doors to choose from. Door 2 was a room full of human heads, which appear to have been decapitated in the middle of nutting, while door 3 contained a bouquet of live grenades.
I can think of worse ways to go, chat. You know what I mean? I can think of worse ways to die.
Flattered. Escaping through door 1 led us to a radiation room, which was giving me 60 rads per second. In order to avoid
that's rad, dude! Epic! That's so cool!
Developing stage 4 League of Legends, I took a near lethal dose of radiation medication and ran around in a fugue state until I found the keys to escape. Next was a maze full of bizarre traps and animatronic aliens. Fairly simple, just don't underestimate the overgrown rats, because they will not hesitate to put you down. After this was a tunnel full of landmines. Sprint through it at top speed and across this definitely up-to-code wooden bridge. Uh-oh, it collapsed, and you're now being attacked by shellfish. Assert terrestrial dominance.
Dude, his nukes are more dangerous than the enemies.
Proceeding to the hardest room of all, the gas chamber. It's here where we get locked into a room which is quickly filling with phosphine gas. If we don't get through this door in the next 30 seconds, we'll be dead. So here's the plan. Take a bunch of drugs to numb the pain of your lungs being dissolved. Stab all these bugs while making sure to fill your pockets with their succulent meat for later. And
the stabbing isn't making explosions. What is this about?
then hop on this computer and open the escape door. That leads us to a shed full of flying ants, which are surprisingly difficult to hit with a nuke. The torture of this room is a little more abstract, but it's very real nonetheless. Then quickly run through this cage area while people shoot at you from above. Just kidding, you can't do this quickly and you're going to die at least a dozen times. But after that, we're finally at the last stage of the gauntlet. See that guy down there in the power armor covered in blood? Yeah, we're going to fight him, and he's invincible.
Yo, you're a loving daddy. Thank you for the tier 3 sub. Thanks, bro. Thanks, pal, buddy.
But we have a secret weapon. It's not a high-powered rifle or even a rocket launcher. Instead, our secret weapon is a plastic water gun. The plan, in theory, is that our enemy is receiving power to his suit from this exposed electrical line. And if we can cover him in water, well, that probably wouldn't be very good.
I don't think the water gun is gonna do what you think it is.
Let's give it a shot. They counted us down and opened the gates, at which point I charged headfirst into my opponent. He responded by blowing off all of my limbs with a nuclear bomb. Clearly, we need a different approach. The guy is actually invincible, but I found out that I can stay in the starting area and snipe him with the water gun to disable his armor. Then I followed up with like 20 nukes to finish him off. Following this, a lot of exposition happens, but I'm going to summarize it really quickly. That guy we just electrocuted, yeah, he was the CEO of Nuka-World, and the raiders that live here...
damn, that's how capitalism works. You beat the CEO in hand-to-hand combat, and I mean nuke-to-hand combat, you win.
To put a lot of respect on violently murdering your political opponents, so they now recognize me as their leader.
Yeah, that's how it works.
This is fantastic, and it comes with a lot of perks. For example, I now live at the peak of Fizztop Mountain with a lovely view over all of my employees.
You are now one of my elite employees!
Also, since I'm the boss, I can go to the market, steal things right out of the display case, and then sell them back to the shop owner for free money. The downside is that Nuka-World is divided into 6 parks, with only one of them being under our control, so it's our job to liberate the remaining parks directly into my authoritarian governance. Then, once we have them, we can distribute them to the different raider factions according to which of their political philosophies I find the most amusing. So it's time to go meet the gangs. Operating out of Fizztop Mountain is the Disciples, which is a faction that couldn't be any edgier even if they were actively pulverizing the elderly in a hydraulic press. This is strangely juxtaposed against the fact that they don't know how many belts you can wear before people stop taking you seriously. Overall, they're my second favorite.
POV VTubers. POV? VTubers.
Favorite. The second faction is the operators. Their primary concern is making money at the cost of human life, which is my personal favorite philosophy. However, they have some shared mental disorder which precludes them from wearing clothes that actually fit. I don't know exactly why, but this makes me extraordinarily angry, and I regularly have to restrain myself from killing them. Fortunately, I found a good compromise. Instead of creating a civil war by nuking their entire faction, I just swing by every few days, find a random operator, and secretly deposit a live grenade in his pocket.
Whoa, incoming!
Lastly, there's the pack. They have a relatively
Oh, that's a way to deal with it.
experimental aesthetic, along with a nice selection of chairs.
Wow!
But whenever you want to talk to their leader, you're going to be forced to listen to the bite.mp3 sound effect for hours on end, because they installed a dogfight pit in the middle of their base.
Bite on MP3. The dogs are just going at it.
Immediately and irrevocably disqualifies them from receiving any further attention from me whatsoever.
You think
With
I belong in
introductions out of the way,
Nuka-World?
it's time to start expanding our operation and making some big money. There's 5 parks to acquire: Galactic World, Dry Rock Gulch, Safari Adventure, the Nuka-Cola bottling plant, and Kiddie Kingdom. First up is Galactic World.
Kiddie,
this
what
is a
now?
space-themed park inhabited by hundreds of robots. However, someone spilled their Dr. Pepper on the AI mainframe, and it caused the robots to become violent murder machines. It's not great for business,
Dr.
so I
Pepper
went
is
there
so
and
good,
started fighting my
though.
way through the streets.
Best
The
soda.
first thing I noticed was that
Argue about it. I don't care. Argue in the comments. Dr. Pepper, best soda, Chaz. Low key, high key, and middle key.
there's plenty of laser turrets all over the premises. Luckily, they don't seem to work very well, and usually spend their entire time in a life-or-death battle against the ceiling. However, don't get too comfortable, because on at least one occasion, the air pressure from these explosions caused my cranium to detonate forcefully. Other than that, just keep an eye out for Mr. Frothy, who is very fast and will startle you into jumping off a bridge and subsequently dying in a nuclear explosion. Anyway, I made my way to the control room, where I'm able to turn off the robots. Only problem, it's broken, and it needs a total of 20
You
stars.
just need more Dr. Pepper, man. Dr. Pepper released the best. I'm glad I have a base chat. I'm glad I don't drink soda, though. Okay, bro, you know what? You're just that one meme. You know, I am gonna interrupt this. I am gonna interrupt this messaging just to show this, because this is you, and I showed this earlier today, and people couldn't relate. So, you right now. Wait, sorry, I think my tab is muted.
Oh, I'll just have water.
Just water, bro? That's it?
Yeah, I only drink water.
And suddenly I feel inadequate.
Get
used to it.
I don't do the soda.
Wow.
I definitely don't do the alcohol.
That's you, man.
I don't do
That's
the
you right
sugary
now.
Juices.
I gotta grow the up.
Just water for me.
I'm off the deep end. I've been
Thank
having
you.
beer with my meal. I'm at the point of no
It's
return.
just, I mean, it's the lubricant of your body.
That's why I'm probably so rigid and brittle.
Yeah, that's you. That's you right now. I don't drink soda.
To repair it. Unfortunately, they're scattered all over the park in the safekeeping of several automatons that would like to crush my neck like a can of soda. But much like a restraining order, I view this as a challenge rather than a problem. Do you really think I can't get within 100 feet of you? So I began wandering around looking for these cores, which led me to a building called the Robco Battle Zone. My hopes of this name being metaphorical were quickly dashed when upon entering I died about 37 different times. Part of the issue is that the mini nuke mod isn't working perfectly on the robots, and some of them are shooting me with laser beams. While my supple body is perfectly optimized for dying in nuclear explosions, it does very
Sorry, I muted by I think I had a point to make, and I think that point is gone.
against this space-age technology. But just like how the lifeguards at
I'm
the
not rewinding.
YMCA can't stop me from drinking the pool water, these robots couldn't
That
stop
is
me
not
from
even pretending to
blasting
be
my
water.
way into the battle zone. At which point, I was promptly locked inside and forced to fight a variety of enemies which entered from these doors and these hydraulic platforms. The robots were tough, but the primary difficulty in this cramped space was finding a place to detonate a nuke that wouldn't instantly vaporize me. First,
Yeah, that
we had
makes
to
sense.
survive some protectrons and a swarm of iBots. No problem. Then it was on to the Novatrons, even easier. Then our final opponent was the Space Sentry.
Wow, look at it! Wow!
Yeah, he got the better of me. But
Such
as the
an
saying
exciting
goes,
battle.
fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, I'll obliterate you with nuclear weapons. And we did just that. With
He
the
did
battle
say
zone
that.
conquered, I gathered all the space cores and moved on to the next building, the Interstellar Theater. Surely a fucking theater can't be as dangerous as the battle zone, I thought to myself. But boy, was I wrong. Very, very, very wrong. The entire auditorium was full of robots, and honestly, I was only able to conquer this area through the repeated use of a strategy I like to call kill one guy and then save the game. While searching for the star
Yo, that's so me. That is so me. Holy shit, babes. I love kill one guy and then save the game.
cores, I found a Nuka-Cola mixing station, which allowed me to combine a
Make it
Nuka-Cola
Dr.
beer
Pepper.
with another Nuka-Cola beer to create double beer. Some
Wait,
people will claim
Nuka-Colas
that
are
AI
beers?
and vaccines are the greatest advancements of the past century. But to that I ask, can you get drunk on polio vaccines? I didn't think
True,
so.
you
That's why
can't.
double beer is the real scientific pinnacle of our generation. After completing my schizophrenic
Okay.
monologue about alcohol, I found the star course next to a few decomposing junkies in the washroom. Very nice. The last building wasn't as bad.
Was she
Vault
watching?
Tech-
No. I saw this. I thought it was a gaming video. I thought it was a completely regular gaming video. I didn't know. Okay,
Among
look.
the Stars is a recreation vault life experience, outfitted with realistic living rooms, indoor gardens, and even an entire room dedicated to giving you cancer. I'm feeling nostalgic
Yeah,
already.
rad!
Strangely, as my character progressed through this area, he was getting recurring headaches. I chalked it up to a brain tumor and thought nothing of it.
Yeah.
But it turns out the whole vault was actually just one giant experiment in subliminal messaging. According to this observation log, they're broadcasting a high frequency over the PA that's meant to induce degenerate behavior such as pissing your pants. Joke's on them.
Is
They
this-
just wasted
Is this canon? Like, is this true in the Fallout? Yes. So, the yellow note. The yellow note.
millions of dollars to make me do something that I was already going to do anyway. Following this, I slaughtered a bunch of automatons, found a really nice shotgun, immediately flashed back to all of those times I killed myself with a shotgun, and then quickly unequipped it before finding the remaining star cores and rushing back to the mainframe. With the help of computer scientist extraordinaire and definitely not dead person Kendall Alston, I was able to repair the computer
looks
and
very alive
pacify
to
all
me.
of the AI, meaning we can now walk around the park without having to worry about a medical robot electrifying
What's the white note, chat? Wait, what do you mean don't tell her about the white note? Wait.
our testicles. With the robots subjugated, I went upstairs and raised a flag to officiate the conquest of Galactic World. Our empire is expanding, and the next theater of war is the Wild West. Dry Rock Gulch is an arid wasteland inhabited primarily by dead bodies, which should make it an easy target. So I made my way there and quickly
should.
realized where all the dead bodies came from, because within moments of arriving, I was attacked by subterranean bloodworms.
Oh, yeah.
These little bastards tunnel around underground and then
Wait,
ambush
how can
you
you
when you
nuke
least
them
expect
then?
it, which means they're either underground, so you can't kill them, or they're firmly latched onto your jugular vein in such a way that makes using a nuclear bomb seem a little
What?
too risky. In this
That's
case,
not
I recommend
fair.
treating the entire area as a high-stakes game of the floor is lava. Eventually, I came down to chat with the sheriff, who informed me that he'll give us the park if we can get rid of the bandits coming out of this building. One problem, the building is locked, and I need combination codes from the Giddy Up Kid, One-Eyed Ike, and Phosphorus Pete to gain entry. I really wish he told me this before I carpet-bombed the entire park, because I'm pretty sure I killed all of those people. This was an irritating development, but my anger quickly faded after the sheriff appointed me as his deputy and gave me this excellent cowboy outfit. Upon reloading the save, I found the giddy-up kid who explained that some cattle rustlers had stolen his loyal steed, and he wants me to bring it back. In case you're wondering, he's talking about an inanimate object, but it was like 4 a.m. at this point in the recording, so I just played along with it.
Rustle up some horses for you, huh, cowboy? I'll be back before sundown.
Wow, what
I
a
searched
beautiful
the grounds
voice.
for all of 13 seconds before finding the torso of a giddy-up buttercup stuffed inside this man's anal cavity. I grabbed it and dropped.
Is this canon? Is this true in the game? Don't just say Sigma. Don't.
Dropped its dismembered body inside the horse pen. Our friend was mildly dismayed.
How'd that fit in there?
Giddy up, Buttercup. They butchered her up like a cow.
But he still gave us his part of the combination code, so I don't really care. Next, I sauntered into a saloon where I met Phosphorus Pete. He wants us to deliver some Nuka-Cola to the residents of Dry Rock Gulch. No problem.
The people of Dry Rock Gulch.
And before you ask, yes, all of the people we delivered soda to were in fact dead bodies, which I made sure to tell Pete.
I'm afraid everyone's dead.
Well, that ain't good.
Doesn't matter though, the quest is done, and Pete rewarded
Love
us
you,
with his
Pete.
code, along with a large quantity of alcoholic Nuka-Cola, which I quickly became addicted to. From here, I sought out One-Eyed Ike to complete our final test, which, much to my dismay, would be a duel at 10 paces. Ike gave me a 44 Magnum and started counting down, but unfortunately, I was still stun-locked by the idea that an amusement park mascot was programmed to hand out loaded revolvers to children before shooting them, which resulted in
Sounds
Ike
based.
getting the better of me.
What's the
Second
problem?
attempt at the duel, I won, but I won a little too hard, and Ike wasn't alive to give me his code. Third time's the charm. For this, I decided to swap to the junk jet, and after blasting Ike in the head with a steel ingot and an empty beer bottle, he conceded defeat and gave me the final piece of code. Now we can enter this mine shaft, destroy the Bloodworm Queen, and claim Dry Rock Gulch. Honestly, this part was pretty easy. There's really only two things you need to
Nice.
do. One, make sure you break into the office so you can equip this cool duster and pretend you're playing an actually good Fallout game. And this last
Chat, is this real? Is Fallout 4 bad? Chat. What do you think?
thing should go without saying, but do not
It's
jump
meh?
in the pit full of dead cows,
Kinda?
because they'll erupt with dozens of bloodworms, and it makes for a very stressful experience. Other than that, I just nuked everything inside and completed
Which
the quest.
one's the one that I hear about is in New Vegas? Is that the one that people love? Fallout New Vegas? Or is it Fallout 3? New Vegas, yeah.
Not too bad. After raising the flag, we're all done at Dry Rock Gulch, and on to the next target, Safari Adventure.
I've never played
I approached the
any one
park
of them,
and
so I
observed a
don't
man
know.
doing battle with a large creature. I chased it off by shooting
I love
it
the phrase doing battle. You know what I mean? We shall do battle.
with 3 nukes, all of which it survived. This was not a good sign. Anyway, the guy started talking to me, and from a distance I had assumed he was some kind of male stripper, meant to appeal to the female fantasy of being bludgeoned to death with a sledgehammer. But actually, he's just a
Can confirm there is a female fantasy.
caveman who was raised by gorillas, which is marginally more believable. His name is
Okay,
Cedo, and
based.
he used his caveman dialect to explain that Safari Adventure is overrun with gator claws that are being cloned in a big triangle house, and I need to disable the cloning machine to claim the perk. I briefly considered putting a revolver in my mouth as a preferable alternative, but after I heard him using 150% of his brain power to forcibly enunciate the word facility, I felt bad and accepted the quest.
Facility.
So I set out
He's
searching
trying,
for a
man,
key
he's
to the
trying.
triangle house, and thankfully the gators weren't much of a problem. I mean, they didn't have any nukes, which was a pretty big deal right off the bat. However, they are very tanky, so just use literally any gun that goes full auto and you should be absolutely fine. In fact, if you want to make it especially simple, you can just go to the top of this treehouse and firebomb the entire map. Honestly, I think the hardest battle I had here was against my alcoholism that I had acquired in Dry Rock Gulch. Eventually, I found the key, let myself into the cloning facility, and started clearing it out. I felt
What
kind of
does alcoholism give you, child, in Fallout? Do you get like any perks, or is it just bad?
for slaughtering all these dumb animals
You
with
guys good at
nuclear
being
weapons.
fun at
So I
parties,
thought I'd
buff?
try fist fighting one of them just to get my anger levels back up again. It worked like a charm. Anyway, I blasted some gators, hacked into this computer, and turned off the cloning device. I told Cito the good news, and he was so excited that he gifted me a rocket-propelled aluminum bat that presumably
Wow.
he has engineered himself. Not really clear on that. What I am clear on is that the park now belongs to us. On that note, let's go to the fourth park, the Nuka-Cola bottling plant. An industrial complex which, judging by the automated turrets and unmarked minefields, was probably run by Jeff Bezos. There's also a little section called the World of Refreshments, which I spent some time exploring. And by exploring, I mean I was pulverizing crustaceans to death with a baseball bat. Back outside, I was feeling a little guilty about the power disparity between myself and the crabs, so I decided to handicap myself
crabs.
by asserting my vertebrate dominance with nothing but a flare gun. This was a massive mistake, because out of the lake emerged the Queen Mirelurk, and she's pretty tough. A direct hit with the nuke does
Never
about 10%
underestimate a
damage,
crab.
and sometimes she likes to spit acid on me and melt off all of my skin. And as if that wasn't bad enough, she has a whole harem of Mirelurk kings to chase me down and pound the shit out of me while I'm reloading. However, I navigated this problem by applying my universal solution, which was to take a lot of drugs and run really fast. This helped create some distance, which allowed me to pick off the ads before circling back and slow motion nuking the Queen Mirelurk to an early retirement. I cannot imagine how embarrassing it must be to have your entire colony destroyed by this dickhead, but luckily she won't have to worry about that, because
like
she's
the naked
dead and the
build.
bottling plant is now
Reminds me of
ours.
Elden Ring.
On to the next target.
Oh, that was easy.
This is it, the final park, Kiddie Kingdom. As a professional
Oh,
YouTuber
God.
who owns a copy of Minecraft, this could be the most dangerous park.
No! No! Stop! Stop! No! No! Dude, fucking Minecraft YouTubers just can't stop.
Park of them all. Previously a children's theme park with several rides and a castle, it has now been renovated into an industrial gas chamber, with radioactive fumes being pumped into the area at regular intervals. Also, it's inhabited by hundreds of feral ghouls, which are relatively easy to kill. However, they close distance very quickly, and melee combat has become substantially more hazardous, thanks to the mysterious stranger who sometimes shows up and nukes the shit out of me. The only upside is that I have this cryogenic shoulder pad, which sometimes freezes my enemies solid, at which point I can take my time knocking off all of their limbs with a baseball
Damn, that's
bat.
a nice
Anyway,
thing to
our goal
have.
here is to defeat Oswald the Outrageous and seize control of the park. He's
Oswald the
hiding somewhere, and I decided to
Outrageous.
start my search in the funhouse. Upon entering, we had to navigate a labyrinth
It's
of
my
mirrors,
house.
which was fairly easy because none of the mirrors were reflective. Instead, they appeared to be coated in several layers of dried ejaculant. However, while I was marveling at the artisanal craftsmanship of the mirrors, I failed to notice the several landmines scattered about the floor. After limping my way through the maze, I spot Oswald in this control room. I attempt to get closer, and he throws a grenade at me. What a dick. From here, I engage in what was either
How dare he throw
high-level
explosives?
platforming or low-level astronaut training, before entering the hallway of hypnosis. I won't lie, this part was actually mildly disorienting. In fact, at one point, I had to use a dead guy just to confirm I wasn't actually hallucinating. I fumbled my way through this section and into a spinning room with about 24 doors all around it. One door led to that thing
Imagine
that happens
being
when
drunk
you
in
open
there.
OBS. Another presented us with the illusion of a happy family. And of course, there was the classic room full of flamethrowers, positively delightful. By the time I found the correct door, Oswald had already escaped, so I moved on to search for him in King Cola's castle. Never mind. It turns out the park has more traps than I thought, not the least of which are the amusement rides themselves. In fact, I have personally witnessed several park employees
Kiddie
being
Park?
killed, maimed,
God.
or otherwise dismembered by the rides here, and it's only
I like
been
your
like
VTuber,
20
thank you.
minutes. Of course, I had to try
I made it myself. Fuck.
this for myself with the roller coaster carts, and I realized that it's a lot like boxing. When you expect to get hit, it doesn't do that much damage, but it's the punch you don't see coming that will decimate you. After this, I strolled around the park a bit more, killing ghouls and rummaging through garbage bins.
Why does they call
until
them
I wan-
ghouls? Is that what they're called in the game? Do they not call them zombies? Chat, my pet peeve is when the zombie games or zombie movies will go out of their way to do everything to not call the zombies, bro. Like, bro, you are making a zombie movie, bro. That is a zombie. They don't have ghouls. Yeah, sure, man. Ghouls are ghosts. Like, ghouls just, they don't have bodies. Those are zombies, man. Dude, ghouls aren't zombies. Okay, but they are. If it was like a zombie and it looks like a zombie, then it's a zombie. They aren't dead. No, but ghouls, I would argue, are deader than zombies. I would argue ghouls are more like ghosts. And zombies are like half dead, half alive. You know? The zombies are actually thinking and talking in a universe. I'll take... Brother, all I'm saying is, you know... invalid argument. Okay, don't get your tushes in a twist, chat. Okay, sorry, fucking fellow fanboys. All I'm saying is, I see this trend a lot of times where there will be a zombie game, and they'll be like, "Oh, the undead, undead Dirks, the undead Dirks are here, guys. Guys, it's the undead Dirks. It's the bodies, guys. You know,
My way into some employee tunnels. I sprinted through the tunnels like a wild animal, at which point I found Oswald talking to one of his staff members in his office.
Wow.
Naturally, I wanted to return the grenade he had thrown at me earlier. This did not work, and I felt like an idiot. So I just kind of took that one on the chin. But it wasn't all bad, because after Oswald disappeared in a puff of smoke, I went into
hate
the
how
office
they call them the walkers. Exactly my point, bro.
And found my next stylistic evolution. Oh yeah, this is gonna work just fine. Alright, well that does it. There's
Wow.
only one place left for Oswald to be hiding, the theater. I broke in with all the grace of a homeless drug addict and started talking with Oswald. He was trying to convince me that he has magical abilities, and he said he was going to show me one of his greatest tricks. Then, he punched me in the head and ran away. Truly a master of the mystical arts.
That's a
I
great
followed
trick,
him up
though.
to the roof, where he gave me some shitty story about being a sympathetic villain. But at this point, I was so tired of chasing him around the park and getting hit by roller coasters that I opted for immediate violence. In response, Oswald unleashed his most powerful magic trick of all, crashing my game. 3 minutes
That
later,
is a
we were
powerful
back,
one.
and the fight was on. Oswald was much higher level than me, and he had a grand time cutting off my limbs with his fancy sword. However, I managed to counter this by simply jumping over a railing, at which point he could no longer stab me. His method of coping with this was to bathe me in Molotov cocktails, but they don't hurt that much, and I've got enough drugs to stay up here for weeks. I am aware that this tactic borders on cheating, so I'm prepared to negotiate. Instead of staying up here and nuking Oswald into oblivion, I will instead empty out the entire contents of my junk section into the junk jet and kill Oswald with the physical manifestations of my hoarding disorder. This included everything from light bulbs to rolls of duct tape, but the
Is that
primary
working?
ingredient was 156 stacks of pre-war money, which I spent the next 20 minutes bouncing off Oswald's head.
Wow.
This was very enjoyable, albeit not especially effective, because Oswald seems to legitimately be invincible. I shot him with 200 junk items, he barely noticed, ran him into 6 fragmentation mines, he walked it off, and even when I got desperate enough to nuke him, he would just reset his health bar. This kind of freaked me out, so I
crazy.
panicked and shot him like 50 times, at which point I realized he wasn't damage immune, just damage resistant, and now he's dead. I stole his clothing
Easy.
in order to complete my Charlie and the Chocolate Factory cosplay, and quickly raised the flag on Kiddie Kingdom, indicating our complete conquest
Easy.
over Nuka-World. All that's left to do is to go to the power station and press the big red button to finally power up the park. And just like that, we are the CEO of the world's finest slavery-themed amusement park, which gives us quite a few benefits. For example, all of the rides are now operational. And I can't confirm this, but it is my personal headcanon that we're receiving our electricity from a small armada of slaves running on hamster wheels. Also, we can even gather up a gang of raiders and go out into the Commonwealth to recruit more employees through what I like to call
Cinema.
competitive hiring practices. So now that we've achieved our primary goal, what's left for us? Well, according to mustache enthusiast Christopher Vogler, the final stage of the hero's journey is to return home as a changed man. In our case, that would be Sanctuary, and as a matter of fact, I am a changed man. Because whatever final thread of sanity had previously prevented me from killing all of these people has finally been severed.
So beautiful. So beautiful. It's raining. It's raining nukes. Right out of the sky, raining nukes. Don't stop to ask why. They're gonna fall and blow you up. It's raining nukes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know. Beautiful.
Well, it's finally over. We've conquered a world where the only projectile ever invented was nuclear bombs. I want to thank this month's patrons for supporting the channel. Don't forget to check out Makeshift to purchase and abuse my likeness. And finally, thank you for watching.
Cinema! It's raining nukes. Hallelujah! Yeah! Word never changes, bro. I think word has changed. I don't think they always use only nukes yet, but that I may be wrong. Didn't know that I have merch now? That is right, I have a merch. I have keychains, hoodies, sweatpants, shorts, standees, and also this beautiful mousepad that is 100% very accurate to my proportions. So if you like anything you see, why don't head down to the link in the description and grab something? It would help a lot.